welcome back to my channel. I'm Sara. If you're new here, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you see some of the other videos that I have been posting. Today I want to talk about my current readings. I have been doing a reading challenge, the I DNF reading challenge for this year. I have been struggling a bit because I'm quite anxious to jump into a book, and usually I buy them and then I start reading them immediately, but as time isn't as long as we want for everything that we need to do, usually what happens to me is that I end up not reading the book, all of the books that I have started reading, and choose just a few which I usually read until the end. But I have a few that I need to get back into it. So this year, a few, meaning 70 books that I have been delaying my reading. So this year the reading challenge is about those books that I want to read, books that mean something to me, that I chose, and I went to the trouble of getting them, wherever the format they are in, and then I just dismissed them without reading them till the end. So this year I am doing this reading challenge. I have 60 books goal for this year, so I will be reading mostly from this list. If I can't finish any one of these 70 books, what I will be doing is DNF it permanently. So, and that story of, oh, I feel guilty because I haven't read it till the end. No, that's something that I intend to end this year. So last week it has been going okay. I am quite enjoying the books that I haven't finished. I have managed to finish a few, so I have picked 4 books from my book jar. I had already 3 books that I was currently reading, and I wanted to finish those, so I picked just two more from the jar. One or two more from the jar. So in total, for January I have to read 6 books. I have already managed to read 3 of those, so I'm in the middle, and I think it's going well for my reading velocity, because I'm quite of a slow reader, but I think I'm doing okay, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. So that's the most important thing in this challenge, because I'm reading things that I'm enjoying. I have chose them for a reason, and not just to start anything. Okay, so this will be I will be talking a bit about these books that I have finished reading already, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope I can recommend some of those books to you. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about books. I have taken a few notes to share with you about these books. not too many, but some things that I would like to talk to you about. So first book that I want to show you, it's Concerning the Spiritual in Art by Vasily Kandinsky. I have been talking about this book a bit on here on the channel. I have been reading it I have been trying to read it for, I don't know, 3 months, something like that. I'm quite slow reader, especially if it's non-fiction, which is the case of this one. It's a book about art, about painting. Kandinsky was a Russian painter and an art theorist, and he was big in the modern abstract painting scene back in the day, and I guess he's still a very important figure of art, especially because he wrote this essay. This is kind of an essay about art, about not just, as the title say, not just about spirituality, the part of creating something that it's spiritual to us, that we go inside ourselves to put something that comes from our soul, as a lot of people called it. I don't know if it's from our soul, but it is from ourselves. And he did a good job because he focused on different arts, trying to explain his view on not just on how we go search in ourselves, but how we must do it in a certain way, kind of like a learning apprenticeship for art. I have underlined a few things on this book. Yes, I do love to paint my books and annotate them on the margins, especially if they're non-fiction. I do this a lot. And what I wanted to share with you about Kandinsky, the thing that inspired me somehow, that it's a tidbit, an interesting detail about him, is that he started to painting studies, so life drawing, sketching and anatomy at the age of 30. So he wasn't a born painter. He wasn't someone that started painting in a very young age and went from there. No, he was someone that started late in life. There are a lot of painters that by 30 they were already dead, so they have made most of their works prior to that age. And Kandinsky was not the case, so he was a late bloomer, and he managed to leave a mark on the world, and a mark with his art and with his thoughts about art, not just painting but other arts, and about color theory and spirituality, and how we should create from that place that is ours. I took a long time reading it, and it's quite short, but I enjoy it very much, and I do recommend, if you like to cross genres and cross knowledge and focus on growing your writing practice. I think we learn a lot by reading about other people's experiences in other arts, not just in writing, but it was fun. It's a good book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it's really a good book for the For the Mind Tools bookshelf quotes. I would like to read you some quotes that I took out from this book, that I think they are very meaningful. The artist must have something to say, for mastery over form is not his goal, but rather the adapting of form to its inner meaning. Creating art implies that we have something, that we must have something that we want to say, that we want to communicate to others, not just a master in technique, in how to do things, not being only concerned with its exterior form, but adapting that piece of art to something that has meaning for us, that has inner meaning for us. So it's not just we have something to say, but when we say it, the important, it's not just to know the technique behind what we want to say, but to adapt that technique to our inner meaning, to how we want to say something, how we want to communicate something through art. I think this is a good quote that kind of paints a picture of what this book is and what we can get from this book while reading it. Another one that I thought was interesting was the artist is not born to a life of pleasure. He must not live idly. He has a hard work to perform, and one which often proves a cross to be borne. Being an artist is hard work, whatever the art that we are putting out in the world. We need to put in the hours, we need to learn, we need to sacrifice a lot of things in order to have that time and that place and that mental space to do things. So I guess this one did strike a chord with me, and I think that with most people that are truly devoted to their to creating something, it's a great quote to have near us when we are creating. So it's hard work, we know, and we also know that sometimes we have to bear it as we can, not as we want, because not everything comes from a blessing from the sky and it's inspiration and it flows. No, we have to put in the hours every day. We have to work a lot. We have to work when others aren't working. The good thing is that usually we don't consider it work, or we kind of don't consider it work because we enjoy it so much that it's something that we love doing. So another short one, it's intuition that gives life to creation. It is. I do think that sometimes we create things. It's not that we haven't made the work before, that we haven't thought about it or researched about it, but we kind of have an intuitive way of knowing what to put when we are doing something, when we are creating something. There is always a great part that it's our intuition. We should go there. Maybe if we do this instead of that, and it's. I do agree with him. It's also a good quote. This was Concerning the Spiritual in Art by Wassily Kandinsky. I do recommend. So, second book that I managed to finish this week, not just finish, but to read from the first page to the last one, because this book, I read it a few years ago. I didn't remember anything about it, and I had a mark which said that I hadn't finished it, so I put it in the pile. While I was reading it, I concluded that I read it all, but it was a strange period in my life, and I don't remember much about it. So this book is Silence, is the Hush Hush 3 series from Becca Fitzpatrick. I did enjoy it. I am quite glad I had the opportunity to read it again, because it's clear that I hadn't enjoyed it as much the first time. I did like it. It's a good continuance for the previous two books. I loved the first one. The first one was very cute and very interesting. It has a lot of mystery and has a lot of things that aren't explained directly. It's fun. It's a good fantasy book. It's romance. It's YA. It's kind of fun. It's a good ride for someone that likes to read fantasy and that likes romance in fantasy reading. So I gave it 4 stars. This time I had given 3 stars before, and through that you can see that I wasn't in the correct mindset for reading this book back in the day. But now I give it 4 stars, and I did like it, so I do recommend it. So I will read you the quotes. I love you. His voice was straightforward, affectionate. You make me remember who I used to be. You make me want to be that man again. Right now, holding you, I feel like we have a shot at beating all odds and making it together. I'm yours if you'll have me. There's only one thing I know for certain anymore. He turned his eyes a clear black. That I would do anything for you, even if it means going against my instincts or my very nature. I would lay down everything I possess, even my soul, for you. If that isn't love, it's the best that I have. Anything was better than nothing. Half full was better than empty. Ignorance was the lowest form of humiliation and suffering. Silence, from Becca Fitzpatrick, is the 3rd book in the series. So there's another one, the 4th, the finale, and I have started that one already. But for now, this one, I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It's a good read. So the 3rd book that I managed to finish this week was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So the 2nd book in the series. Okay, let me just hold it like this. So this is the English edition, paperback. I love these covers so much. This art is beautiful. This series was published between 1997 and 2007. Yes, I am late, I know. I have only managed to find the courage to read these books last year. Last year in October, I read the first one near Halloween. I have read it already. I have loved it. I do understand why these books are such a mark in children's literature. It's a fun read for adults. I don't think it's a children's book at all. Not if we focus on the themes. It has a lot of depth in it. It has a lot of dark and scary. Children enjoy it a lot because they aren't treated like babies. It works in ways that involves knowledges, not just the children, not just magic, not just the imagining of worlds, of things, of practices, but it has a lot of literary background. It has been inspired by some legends and some old knowledge, and it's a very good book. It has theme, it has roots, and I don't particularly. I have read a bit about how this series came to be and how people reacted to it after, before, in the middle, and after it got successful. And I didn't like some of the things that I read, like criticisms. I think people can be very mean when others are successful, and that's not the point in this, and not the point in reading at all. It's a coming of age story. It has that dark academia vibe in a magical fantasy world, and it's quite fun. I did enjoy it. I give it 5 stars. It's becoming one of my favorite series. It's widely considered one of the cornerstones of modern literature. I do agree with it. It is. Oh, I like this one. On the eve of publishing, Rowling was asked by her publishers to adopt a more gender-neutral pen name in order to appeal to the male members of this age group, fearing that they would not be interested in reading a novel they knew to be written by a woman. I do think this says it all, but if not, what is it with the prejudice? My God, we will never see the end of this. So, 5 stars, and it's definitely worth all the hype it has been getting through all these years. I do recommend it, whatever your age is or your background. I do recommend it. It's a very good book. It's a very good story. A quote. It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. Yep, it is. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been my readings for January. I have been focusing on finishing those books that I haven't managed to read entirely. Some I have concluded that maybe I have read them, but I forgot all about them, so they will be read this time, and I feel that I'm quite in the right mental space for do this now, and that's how my beginning of this reading challenge went so far. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everything's okay. I hope you do take these recommendations with you, and please let me know if you have already read any one of these books. You can always leave a comment below, and what did you thought about them, if you enjoyed it or not. And that's it. So thank you so much for being here. I hope everything's okay over there, and bye bye. See you next week.